This one was a surprising one to me, given everything that's going on in Russia, what happened in Iran, what happened in Gaza. But the bottom line is Democrats in the American voters' minds cannot hack it. What are we talking about? Party trust more in foreign policy. Well, the GOP holds an average 6-point lead in the month of July. Look at this. Fox News came out last week, plus 3 points for Republicans on foreign policy over the Democrats. You think that number is not high enough for you? How about the Wall Street Journal? GOP plus 8 points when they match congressional Democrats up against congressional Republicans. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large. Trust more in foreign policy. You go back to 2024, Trump had a 6-point advantage over Kamala Harris. Again, look at the average right now. It hasn't moved despite everything that's going on in the world. You see Republicans plus 6 points here. And this goes back to a larger issue that we have discussed over and over again here in the mornings. Despite any misgivings that the American public might have about Donald Trump, when you match up Republicans against Democrats, Donald Trump against Democrats, still at this particular point, they are doing significantly better than you might expect. And when it comes to the issue of foreign policy, again, what you see is in the American voters' minds, Democrats simply put can't hack it. More voters trust Republicans on foreign policy, very much like they did back during the 2024 campaign.
What about the strikes on Iran? Because while they were being contemplated, they were not universally popular.
No, they were not universally popular. And in the immediate aftermath, they were not universally popular. Look at this. Net approval rating, U.S. airstrikes on Iran. In late June, the net approval rating, look at that, minus 8 points underwater. But as the American people learned more and more about it, look at this, a 10-point rise. Now it's in the positive. The American people like the move that Donald Trump put on Iran, the U.S. airstrikes in Iran, a positive +2 net approval rating. So again, the bottom line is this. As the American people learn more about these airstrikes, as the American people compare Donald Trump and the Republicans against the Democrats, they see them far more favorably than you might expect.
Interesting and notable that the president is overseas today. Foreign policy may be an area that is stronger for him.
Overseas, but not underwater. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. 7 a.m., 7:04 a.m. Central. You're listening to Wake Up America Show. I'm Austin Peterson. This is the show for people who work for a living. Yes. Think for themselves. Are allergic to bureaucrats, weak men, lefty feminists, and any kind of soy-based ideology. No. Not for them. It's for us. Today's top story, a robot is making Washington very, very nervous. I love this story. It's not a killer robot. It's not a Terminator. It's far worse to them. It's a robot that eliminates government jobs. Wait a minute. Somewhere in here is a... Where's the robot voice? Cheer.
Robot taking over. Ladies and gentlemen, meet DOGE AI. Hold on, I got a better robot voice. Ladies and gentlemen, meet DOGE AI. Not the meme coin, but the Department of Government Efficiency's new artificial intelligence that scans the entire federal code for useless, outdated, and redundant regulations and prepares them for the chopping block. It's like a dietary cleanse for the bureaucracy.
Are we having a good time yet, guys? Like, Austin, turn that shit off. Stop with all the sound effects and music, Austin. You're having too much fun. This is also a show for people who enjoy being happy early in the morning. If you're not a morning person, maybe the morning Wake Up America show might not work for you. But if you're not a morning person, I feel like you should watch it anyway because it's going to wake your ass up. Is somebody trying to unlock the bonus content? What's going on? Somebody decided to go over this morning and become a monthly subscriber to the delicious Revere's Rebel Roast, Paul Revere's. Wow. And that has put us on the road to Wellville. No, not Wellville, but 20. It's a very highly, highly inappropriate film. Revere's Rebel Roast out the door this morning. Thank you, guys. And guess what? I'm looking very good and very nice. I got something for you. We're going to do a little experiment today. We've got your regular bonus content, fresh, hot, maybe a little sticky, but it just came out of the oven. Give it some time to cool. blow on it. The mini documentary that we produce every day as part of our bonus content program to unlock has a special bell and whistle today. So if we actually hit the top of the thermometer, we're nice and cool, feeling good. Bath water at $75 raised. But if you raise $100, you guys are going to unlock another new piece of bonus content, which is a choose your own adventure game we're going to play today. Oh, yes. We're keeping it fresh. We're keeping it nice. Who knew that this was
going to bust out today? Did you know that was going to come out?
I had no idea it was going to. I forgot that I had that sound effect. According to reports, DOGE has already reviewed 1,000 sections of HUD regs in 2 weeks and wrote 100% of deregulations for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You think that would be a good news, right? It was something to be excited about. People will be like, oh, yes, finally. Let's use artificial intelligence, which is incredible. It's reshaping everything in the world right now. It's the new gold rush. Let's use AI to make government better. But no, for Washington, D.C., this is like a slasher film. Let's be real here. Washington isn't really afraid of China. They're not scared of Iran. They're scared of a spreadsheet with a personality that says,
hey, maybe we don't need 37 federal agencies regulating farm pond water.
you know what I'm saying? Like that just... The thickness of the shoe leather. That's a real federal regulation, by the way. Good morning from Albany. The truth is that the deep state isn't necessarily afraid of violence because, honestly, the deep state would love it if some uppity patriots decided to act all violent. They would crack down on the patriot community so quickly, so fast. I mean, think about all those Nazis that hang out in Idaho and how much they are under federal scrutiny. You don't think that the feds aren't just waiting to jump for some, right of center patriot to, be like, all right, I'm going to mount a posse on the take over the local jail for 12 hours. They will come and does anybody remember Christopher Dorn? I'm not saying he was a patriot or hero, but do you remember how they went after Christopher Dorn and they burned him alive? Just imagine what they'll do to somebody that they really hate and despise, which is not somebody who's talking about how the Los Angeles Police Department was corrupt. But people who actually talk out against the government. I mean, they would just love it if I would deliver myself into the hands. My governor would serve me up on a plate, and he's a Republican. See you at the next meeting, Mike. The deep state isn't afraid of violence. It's afraid of irrelevance. It's afraid of not being able to regulate the size of the shoe leather in our shoes. It's terrified of not having complete and total control to be able to say, yeah, we're pedophiles. What you gonna do about it, bitch? We got the list. You don't. We're the government. And you're not. No, that's not what they're afraid of. That is not what the government fears. It's not violence. It's not foreign policy. It's that they can't control everything in the world that we do. Can I get an amen? It's like, gosh dang, I would have really thought that was going to pop up. Usually I'm so good at snapping those clips. We're the, oh gosh, you are not. We're the government and you're not. There it is. You guys are going to love this. I'm only going to show this for a couple of minutes, but it's really hilarious.
A nation is known by its people. Throughout this world, America is known because of the diverse group we call Americans. They're black and white, and every color in between. Men, women, young, old, all share dedication to the American dream and to the idea that we all share equally in the task of building and strengthening our democracy through good citizenship. But what does it mean to be a good citizen today? What do you owe to your fellow man and to your government? In the next few minutes, we're going to answer that question. Obey these rules instead of following your heart or your head. Why? Because we're the government, and you're not. Tom is a businessman who employs 12 people in his small restaurant. He started with nothing and has made himself a wealthy man through hard work and long hours. He knows that it's his work and the hard work of millions like him that creates wealth and provides jobs for an entire nation. But at this moment, he's wondering whether it's all worth it. As the tax audit goes on, Tom's patriotic desire to help the economy and provide jobs for working Americans starts to fade. He experiences strange emotions of fear and greed, wanting to keep his money all for himself. Finally, in desperation, his greed reveals itself through latent homicidal tendencies. But what Tom doesn't understand is that everything depends on wealthy people paying their taxes. Where would we be without their money? Tobacco farmers wouldn't get the subsidies that allow them to provide high-quality cigarettes to the world. Disadvantaged young mothers wouldn't be able to have food stamps that let them obtain the necessities of life. Scientists couldn't do highly important research on methane gas from cows. And other countries wouldn't get the foreign aid that helps them trade with us and learn our democratic ways. So when Tom wishes he could keep more of what he produces for himself, he's just being selfish and short-sighted.
Right.
Yes, since Tom is a very productive citizen, he owes everything to us.
Yeah.
So Tom and others like him should be thankful that the tax man doesn't take it all.
Right.
So lesson number 1 is, pay your taxes and be thankful that we let you keep any of your money.
Thank you. Yes. Now that is a 10-minute long video, and it's absolutely worth watching every minute of it. I have known about that video since like 2008. That was like an early big winner. So if you guys are looking for a copy of that video, make sure you send me a text message. I'll try and get it to you this afternoon, or before. So hopefully I won't forget. But the easiest way to make sure that you get a copy of that video so you can watch the full thing is to send me a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. 86. Send us a text message and let us know if you'd like a copy of that. You can text us at that phone number anytime. We've got a fantastic show for you today. 2 amazing guests, Peterson and Erickson and Peterson. That's the show today. Sounds like we're going to start a law firm. So we're going to break down for you this morning what the killer robot is, what it means for you, your business, and the future of the bloated federal beast in a few minutes. But at the bottom of the hour today, we're going to expose how an Obama-appointed judge just forced Trump to keep funding Planned Parenthood. Yeah. Even after voters specifically sent him to Washington to stop it. If you thought elections mattered, wait until you can hear how a single robe can override millions of ballots. At 8 a.m. this morning, Camellia Peterson joins us to dive into 2 of the weirdest stories in culture right now. I'm loving it. A patriotic denim outfit being labeled Nazi propaganda by the terminally online. And Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, that Jamie Lee Curtis. We all remember her. She's declaring war on Botox in the name of natural genocide. You can't make this up, but maybe Camellia can make sense of all of this. I'm sure that I will win the game that we always play on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the game is called Make Camellia Blush. It's not hard. You would think that she would be used to my shenanigans. Don't you just love a good shenanigan? And finally, at 8:30 a.m. Central Time this morning, the Wake Up America Show, author Devin Erickson. Devin, science fiction author, becoming a more regular guest in this show. He joins us to answer the big question no one in the legacy media wants to touch. Why aren't men approaching women anymore? The answer isn't fear, it's instinct. And the viral rant that he produced might be the most honest breakdown of modern dating you'll hear this year. It's a slightly PG-13, so be aware. Grab your coffee. Text the Liberty Squad to come in here and join us on the Wake Up America show and settle in. The truth is about to go to war with the narrative, the message. You guys ready to rock? All right, let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture here. You're walking through Washington, D.C. It's humid. It's miserable. And every corner is crawling with acronymed agencies. EPA, no. HUD, no. CFPB, FTC, USDA, OSHA. It's like alphabet soup, only no one's hungry and everyone's overpaid.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Thanks to Robbie says, I believe Parenthood should get the same federal funding the NRA gets, which is nothing. That's right. Yeah, not a dime. And thank you, Robbie. We're at, remind me if I forget, $31 raised towards the $75 bonus goal. And if we hit $100 today, then you will get a choose your own adventure at the end of the show today. So if we hit $100, boom, a fun little new piece of bonus content for you today on top of the mini documentary. I think you're going to like it. Okay, so you're in Washington, D.C. I've set it all up beautifully. Suddenly, boom, a giant robot in a MAGA hat lands in the Federal Triangle. No, the liberals or libturds are freaking out. They're pooping their pants. But he's not here to kill. No, this one's on a mission of mercy. They're on a mission from God. He's here to destroy regulations. It's DOGE AI. Listen to this. I love this stuff. The Department of Government Efficiency's new artificial intelligence project. According to leaked PowerPoints obtained by the Washington Post, DOGE is being used to scan, analyze, and delete up to 100,000 federal regulations. Get 'em. This is the win, boys. This is the winning that we're not tired of. This is not a joke. This is happening. And while the left is shrieking like it's Skynet, you and I are popping popcorn or drinking our delicious Founding Flavors coffee available at the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. This could be the most pro-liberty thing the federal government has done in our lifetime, and it wasn't even supposed to happen. Let me give you some of the numbers. There are more than 1.08 million federal regulatory restrictions currently on the books in the United States. The average small business spends over $12,000 a year just trying to comply with these rules, not thrive, not grow, just comply. And here's the kicker. Only 38% of regulations are actually required by statute. The rest are made up by unelected bureaucrats with nothing better to do than to invent problems and then sell compliance on the problems that they have diagnosed. And nary an elected official has even seen or is able to hold accountable some of these people and the rules that they create and the tyranny that they enact on their fellow Americans. That's not democratic. That is the definition of the deep state. Barney Stiles says, burn it down and we'll roast marshmallows. God bless American. God bless you, Barney Stiles. Drew Van Ronkel, my favorite stoner, says, is there a list of the regulations that have been cut? No, not yet. This is the kind of reporting that you get. So like the Washington Post did this, and then the Wall Street Journal did this, and then the Wake Up America show did this. So you're kind of hearing this fresh off the docks. This is from like a leaked memo. So what we're finding out now is what's happening is that the DOGE AI, which if Elon Musk made this and then unleashed it like a time bomb the government, I'm just going to be so happy and all will be forgiven. Every tariff that I have to swallow because people don't understand economics will have been where people who were like, Austin, your shoe business, you failed. Every annoying Harry Sisson liberal video that's every attack video that's TikTok that's been like, look at Austin, he got owned by tariffs. Every one of those ignominious TikTok videos will have been worth it just to watch the government, the bureaucracy burn because AI is chopping them up. And Elon Musk left this time bomb in the government. You think that would happen on a Kamala bitch? No. So no, there's no list of regulations that have been cut yet. All we have right now is the leaked memo to the Washington Post that's showing that apparently DOGE AI, which is a regulation killing robot, has been turned loose on Washington, D.C. So what DOGE does is simple, and this is what the swamp truly fears. Again, not foreign governments, They don't fear violence from patriot militias in the United States. They'd love to see something like that happen, so they crack down on all of us. They fear an Elon Musk with a time bomb. They fear a genius with a truth nuke. And Austin Peterson of the Wake Up America show, signed, sealed, delivered, and approved. Let's call it what it is: a Liberty cyborg armed with a red pen and a vengeance for redundancy. Now I know what the critics are saying. Austin, isn't this dangerous? What if the AI deletes something important? And I say, have you seen what the humans in Washington do? The IRS couldn't pass a high school math test. OSHA thinks ladders are racist. And the CDC once banned people from going fishing alone in kayaks because of COVID. I trust the robot. Who's with me on the robot? Drop the comment in the chat. Are you robot, pro-robot, or pro-deep state? Let's hear it. I trust the robot. Here's the truth. This isn't really about danger. This is about control. The people who are panicking over the DOGE robot aren't worried it will hurt the American people. They're worried it will hurt their job descriptions. The moment an AI can do in 10 seconds what a GS-14 takes 3 months at a PowerPoint to fumble through, $170,000 salary with guaranteed pensions starts to look a little silly, don't you think? And let's be honest, if you're making six figures to regulate the width of wheelchair ramps in solar panel factories and at Robbie Thurman's house, you deserve to be replaced by a toaster. Let's be real. Stephen Moore from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity said it best. This tool will eat regulations. I say, bon appetit, monsieur. A little ratatouille. You love to see it. And you know what? It might just save us. According to internal projections, DOGE could cut trillions in future compliance burdens. This is what we were talking about. I mean, I'm honestly like relieved hearing things like this for the future. I got a beautiful little baby girl out there trying to feed that baby. Because if you can't feed the baby, then don't have the baby. Mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. All right, let's speculate for a second. Imagine if we applied this same tool to the tax code. If you think TurboTax is evil, wait until DOGE rolls up and deletes the 40 pages explaining why horse breeding counts as a medical deduction in Minnesota. Saint Selma, truly saint-like, over in the chat says, I want to be able to get incandescent light bulbs so my chicken's water won't freeze in the winter. You guys remember those? For LEDs, you used to be able to get warm bulbs that would also keep the chicken coop warm. No. We're all about onto the chlorofluorocarbons or whatever the hell they were. I think that was in the hairspray and hairnet in the 1980s. You remember the 1980s? We wore so much hairspray that we literally put a hole in the ozone layer. Aquanet. Does anyone remember that smell? When I used to have a lot of hair, I would use hairspray as a young man. Grease is the word. What if we use AI to audit the Federal Register daily and sunset any rule that hasn't been enforced in 5 years? What if we use it to audit the Federal Reserve? Oh, God, I'm going to...
God!
Oh, you're going to make me...
God, please, no! No!
Steffi!
No! No!
What kind of show is this? Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Damn it. This is the show to get you up in the morning, sell you a little bit of coffee. Speaking of, we've raised $31-ish towards the $75/$100 bonus content goal today. If we raise $75 in bonus content, guys, guess what? It's a mini documentary unlocked, and you're like, oh, yeah, ho-hum, I've seen this before, Austin. But if we had $100, then you get to play a choose-your-own-adventure game today where you get to pick the story and the road that the show will go down. So you, as the audience, can actually determine the outcome of the end of the show today with a choose-your-own-adventure tale that we will unlock if we raise $100 in either Rumble rants and purchases through Rumble at rumble.com, where you're watching us live right now. If we hit $75 raised, you'll unlock our little mini documentary, which is hella fun, and today is about firearms. Yay. a lovely little mini documentary produced by AI. So there's a little bit of weirdness, but that's okay because we pop it out one of those things every single day. And then at $100 raised today, either in purchases at forlibertyshop.com, the Grift Shop, or in Rumble Rants, that will unlock the Choose Your Own Adventure today. It's a new thing. We're experimenting. Let's see if it works. All right. So DOGE doesn't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. It just asks, is this regulation required? Has it been enforced? In the last 5 years, this regulation has not been used. Delete it. What do you say? You'd think that progressives would love something like this. It's environmentally friendly. It cuts down on paperwork. It even saves electricity by shortening PDFs. But of course, instead of praising it, they're clutching their pearls like it's the return of the Third Reich. Everything's the return of the Third Reich. Because for the first time in a long time, someone is putting liberty ahead of their job security. Yes. So here's my question for you. Would you rather be ruled by a robot with a calculator or a career bureaucrat with an axe to grind and a pension to protect? I think I know. Let me know in the chat. And while you're at it, go check out our Make Taxation Theft Again gear over at thegriftshop.com, because today DOGE is doing the Lord's work, I tell you. And we're just here to cheer it on, baby. Yes. Go DOGE.
Next, we turn our attention to Mary. She has a great entry-level job at a bank, and she was taught to be responsible with her money. She's a very frugal person and never spends money when she doesn't have to. By careful shopping, Mary doesn't spend money on expensive furniture. Mary lives in a modest home in the basement of an old apartment building, but she has a keen sense of style within the confines of her meager budget. She isn't the sort of frivolous person who spends lots of money for gourmet food. She saves every penny she can by eating thrifty meals. Mary is also careful to conserve her resources. For instance, she hasn't had to buy new napkins or paper towels for months. But as Mary looks at the economy, she's troubled and she wonders what she can do to make a difference so that everyone can live a better life. But what Mary doesn't know is that today's modern economy is built on credit and spending, not on thrift and savings. Responsible people know that they should be borrowing and spending all that they can. Even things that were considered frivolous spending in the past are now understood to be powerful generators of wealth for certain people. Take gambling, for instance. What better way to have fun and pump money back into the economy than to blow a few $100s of your savings on a state lottery or at a casino? And what about that big screen plasma TV you've always wanted? No cash? No problem. Just say, charge it, and take it home to your family. You see, debt is good for the economy. When you borrow money, you pay large interest payments. This props up bank profits and makes everyone feel good. So buy that impressive house, fill it with expensive furniture that you can't pay for, and keep those credit cards maxed out all the time. In addition to keeping corporate profits high, you also help spend trillions of dollars for products made in other countries, which makes foreign governments happy and makes state dinners at the White House more festive for everyone. Also, remember that by spending money on expensive things you can't afford, you encourage your neighbors to do the same thing, and you teach your children that outspending others is the key to happiness.
All right, we are so back, and we're calling on you to join the fight for freedom, free markets, and to make America great again, starting August the 1st, so very soon. Our friends over at Campaign Jobs Now and patriots across the country are knocking doors in Pennsylvania. That's right. We fight in the off-season. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Texas, and more. Job interviews are being started today, actually. You could make a monthly base pay plus bonus opportunities, including all housing and gas, with on-site training to set you up for success, and they pay very well. It's my buddy Remzo Martinez's team. For 9 years, Campaign Jobs Now has placed grassroots patriots in full-time and part-time campaign roles. Have you been looking to get into politics? Look at this, full-time, full pay. And you're probably going to lose weight while doing the job. Delivering big electoral wins, helping to save the country, and real resume building experiences. Apply now at campaignjobsnow.com/apply. That's campaignjobsnow.com/apply. And tell them Wake Up America sent you. Say hi to Remzo for me. All right, when we get back, we haven't unlocked the bonus content yet, but when we get back, a judge says no to defunding Planned Parenthood. We're going to talk about that when we get back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the 4 Liberty tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at 4libertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here, and it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit 4libertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to 4libertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's 4libertyshop.com.
In every group, there are a few bad apples who want to make life difficult for everyone. And that's true even among Americans. There are some people who are just naturally rebels and troublemakers. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. These are the people who ask the questions that don't need to be asked.
Why aren't other political parties allowed on the ballot? Why do Democrats and Republicans get to make up rules to keep other parties off?
As we all know, our two-party system is a cornerstone of the Constitution. Allowing different ideas on the ballot would just confuse everyone. Imagine where that confusion might lead. We could end up with something dangerous like libertarians in Congress.
No!
And you know what that would mean.
Why does our government spend so much time and money telling other countries what to do? Doesn't it just make them hate us and cause problems down the road?
As the world's one remaining superpower, the United States has a sacred duty to tell other countries what to do. One of the fundamental responsibilities of a superpower is to bully other countries and create conflicts which then require us to solve. This is especially popular among broadcast media, who see their ratings go up during times of world crisis as viewers tune in to see bodies being blown up on live TV.
Why do they spend billions of dollars to try to stop illegal drugs when the same tactics didn't work with alcohol prohibition?
Yeah, and why does the government even pay farmers to produce another dangerous drug, tobacco?
Some people just don't understand politics. You see, it is younger people who abuse certain drugs, so they are illegal. But because older people vote and hold their legislators accountable, the drugs they abuse are legal. It's really the only fair way. As you can see, these troubled youth are asking questions which are bad for public morale and clearly indicate that they favor criminal activity. There's really only one place that's appropriate for people who ask questions like these. Why? Because we're the government. And you're not.
Good morning, pineapples. Are we having fun today? I sure hope so. I love seeing Joni Rankin, Thor Mock, Rock Cuts, in Jam 77, and so many other friends like Drew Van Runkle and Robbie Theraman and Barney Styles hanging out in the chat this morning. Hey guys, everybody say hi in the chat. Don't forget to click the like button. If you haven't already, make sure that you click the follow button as well. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. So click the follow button. Be like T-Mill22. She joined and she never went away. She stuck around and she's been here forever. Rock Cuts, who I have no idea who that is. I mean, it looks like a new person. Hope it is. And hope you decide to stick around. So Rock Cuts, if you haven't clicked the follow button, please do so as well. We like to build a healthy, positive, friendly, optimistic community on the Wake Up America show. So if that sounds like your bag, baby, then I'm Austin Peterson, not Austin Powers. Today's bonus content unlocks at $75 and $100. What do you mean? And $100. Well, I got you a little bonus gift that if you go over the goal today of $75 to unlock the bonus content so you can watch that instead of commercials, I've got a little choose your own adventure game today. You will get to pick the final story of the show today, even if that means going over in time. So if we hit $75 either in Rumble Rants or in purchases made at forlibertyshop.com, then the $100 bonus content goal will get you not only the mini documentary, but you'll also get a choose your own adventure game at the very end of this show. And artificial intelligence has made it possible even for us to play games in ways that we could never play games before. So if anybody out there is a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons or enjoyed any role-playing games growing up and always thought that you wanted to get back into it, and you'd love to play, but it takes forever to set up, and you need a game master who knows all the rules of the game, here's a little free pro tip for you. Use either Grok or ChatGPT's voice-activated mode and program your artificial intelligence to act as the game master, set up all of the rules, and to act as the dungeon master, taking you through all of the dungeons, giving you riddles and traps and posing problems and rolling your dice. You could play an entire game of Dungeons and Dragons now with an expert, knows all the latest rules, dungeon master, to play Dungeons and Dragons with your AI. Does the For Liberty shop take crypto? We do not at this time yet in Jam 77, but I do have a crypto wallet. For some people, they do like to donate in Bitcoin, and we do allow that. It's just I have to if you really want to do something like that, then just send me a text message that you'll see 573-319-1586. And if you send, I'll pull it up on the screen real quick if you want to like just screen cap it real quick with your phone. But soon, I'm excited. I'm glad you brought that up because Rumble is actually going to have a wallet. So Rumble just keeps getting better and better. They're going to have a crypto wallet. And as I understand it, during the show, you're actually going to be able to make crypto donations to shows on Rumble with their new crypto wallet, which sounds exciting as hell to me, honestly. Because I know a lot of our people use cryptocurrency and they like cryptocurrency. And right now it's just kind of cumbersome where I have to like send you my crypto wallet number through text message in order to make it work. But I probably need to put that on the Wake Up America show website. So Eric and I are big on scattergory, says Brad Beckman. He says we have ChatGPT make us new lists about once a month. There you go. Look at that. Kermode says he tried to use Grok to run a D&D game. It knew nothing about the rules. It did spin a decent narrative, though. Actually, my experiments have been with ChatGPT, but not with Grok yet. So I didn't know that Grok didn't know the rules. But ChatGPT, as far as I knew, was able to answer questions about the rules, at least from my knowledge of it, which has been, admittedly, a little bit of cobwebs on it. So, good morning, everyone, including our AI overlord, says Harville24. Doomer nationalist. Let's get back to the news. A man wins the presidency on a platform that includes cutting off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. You guys know the abortion industrial complex with the pastel branding and the body part scandals. And even after all that, even after winning the election, staffing his cabinet, drafting a budget, Trump's told by a judge, sorry, you still have to pay for Planned Parenthood. Must, not may, not should strongly consider, must. Let that sink in for a second. The president of the United States can't even say no to cutting off abortion money. What can he say no to? What is the power of the executive branch anymore? To tweet, hold press briefings, take to take the blame for decisions made by unelected lawyers in robes? The ruling is fairly clarifying as to how the court feels because the mask is off. The Democrats, when it comes to the democracy, I mean that bird flew the coop a long time ago. This is a judicial monarchy that the Democrats are trying to set up, and we, the peasants, are footing. I was reading Doomed from Marvel24. Footing the bill. Let's name names. Who is Judge Beverly Martin? The ruling came down from Judge Beverly Martin. She's an Obama appointee, of course, with a long history of progressive judicial activism. This is the same type of judge who believes in the living constitution, which is just code for whatever my politics happen to be today. And Judge Beverly Martin, her justification is that because Congress authorized funding for Planned Parenthood under past budgets, decades ago, mind you, the president must honor that commitment indefinitely. Can you imagine applying that logic to your own life? Well, you signed up for a gym membership in 1997, sir, so you owe them $49.99 a month until the heat death of the universe. Robed royals. We will never be royals. Let's talk about the money. In fiscal year 2023, Planned Parenthood received over $670 million in taxpayer funding. And while they claim that most of it goes to healthcare services, they conveniently categorize abortion as healthcare. And then they shuffle money around. It's kind of like a shell game that they play in order to keep the taxpayer funding rolling. And now the court has just said, you don't have a choice. Even if the president says no, even if your elected representative said no, even if every voter in America said no, too bad. Some Obama-era appointee in a federal courtroom says yes, and that's the final word. I'm sorry. So, have you tried getting out of your gym membership, though? I did once. That happened to me when I was in New Jersey. I went to some expensive gym. Stupid. It was terrible. Paid a lot of money. Could never do that again. Now I am the gym owner. Constitutional. I realized that the scam. I'm like, oh man, that's good business. I need to get into it. Let's remind ourselves how it's supposed to work. Congress passes spending bills. The president enforces and implements them, and the courts interpret the law. But what we've got now is the courts write the spending rules. The bureaucracy executes the spending, and the president signs checks that he can't cancel. That's not checks and balances. That's judicial tyranny with a rubber stamp executive. And here's the real horror. This ruling redefines executive power, not as a co-equal branch, but as a cashier. He doesn't get to choose the menu. He doesn't get to shut down the kitchen. He just rings up the orders, even if it's a plate of federally funded baby parts. Yeah. Let's think this through. If a sitting president can't defund an organization, what can he do? Can he refuse to fund ESG mandates? Can he pull foreign aid from countries that hate us? Can he zero out the Department of Education? No. Because once something's statutorily allocated, apparently it's sacred. Unless, of course, it's something the left wants to cut, like defense spending, border security, or ICE raids, then suddenly prioritization is allowed again. This is selective constitutionalism. The left invokes the law only when it benefits their programs. The rest of the time, they're all about living documents and systemic change. Michael Malice has a word or a phrase that he uses for this, which is, he calls it anarcho-tyranny. Anarchy and no rules for us and my allies. Tyranny for everyone else. It's time to put a stop to it. And let's imagine the shoe on the other foot. This is what Republicans love to do. And the white nationalists love to criticize him for. What if the shoe was on the other foot, you weak Republicans? All right, imagine a federal judge forcing Joe Biden to fund the NRA, or forcing him to build the wall, or to subsidize Mike Lindell's pillow empire. You think the media would be defending that? No, they'd be screaming judicial overreach. They'd have think pieces ready about authoritarian judges. But when it comes to abortion, suddenly the courts are wise, restrained, and oh so reasonable. Oh, man. Look, if we're going to be taxed against our will, we might as well let the whole world know about it, how we feel about it. Check out the Make Taxation Theft Again collection over in the shop. If you type Make Taxation Theft Again over at the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com, you're going to find all kinds of amazing Make Taxation Theft Again merchandise. I highly recommend the Make Taxation Theft Again mug, and you can sip your coffee, your founding flavors around the office, and your you feel more patriotic, not going to lie. When I was drinking my Make Taxation Theft Again mug, and I've got my founding flavors coffee in it right now, I need a giant thermos. Daddy needs a lot. I feel just like at least 5 to 7% more patriotic. So don't forget to visit the Grift Shop, and we do have 2 bonus contents to unlock today. A special bonus content, but if we don't do it, I think it's just gonna go away forever, and we'll never try it again. But today we're experimenting. If we hit $75 raised, then you will unlock the mini documentary. But if we raise $100, either in purchases at the shop, say you buy a Make Taxation Theft Again mug, or say you buy a Make Taxation Theft Again t-shirt, or say you buy American flag champion jacket. Very, very beautiful. Embroidered jackets, rain resistant, and they even fold up in their own pocket. If you buy one of those, you guys are going, and we hit $100 raised by the end of the show, then you're going to get a choose your own adventure story at the end of the show, where you will decide the content of the show for the final segment. So if we raise $100, you will hit the choose your own adventure story part of the podcast today. And of course, $75 will unlock the mini documentary. We're at $31 raised towards the $75 goal. Keep on rocking and hit that unlocking. Hi, Cecilia. I know Cecilia wants to see the Choose Your Own Adventure segment. That'll be fun. So don't forget, visit thegriftshop.com or make those Rumble Rant donations to help get that unlocked. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying, Vern? Know what I mean, Vern?
So, lesson number 3 is, don't cause trouble by asking embarrassing questions or by not supporting your government. So now you know how to be the kind of citizen your government wants and needs. Pay your taxes without complaint. Spend all you can in order to help the economy. And don't ask questions that don't need to be asked. If you follow these simple rules, you'll be a good, patriotic American citizen. This is Jenkins and Propaganda. I can't take your call, so leave me a message.
Yeah, this is Bill House at the IRS. We've reviewed the video that you sent over, and we really think you need to make the tax guy seem nicer during the audit. You know, more talk about voluntary compliance and all that garbage. make him look like somebody's nice uncle or something. It makes us look like we're not so nasty, okay?
This is Barry Sands of the DEA. We just got a copy of that thing about how to be a good citizen, and this thing has got to be changed. There's nothing in here about the evils of drugs and how using drugs is the same as supporting terrorists. Now, you know the routine. We've got to make changes to this ASAP, so call me and let's get together on it. I won't be in the office this afternoon, though, because I'll be at driving school so I can get out of that DUI I got last month. But call me, all right?
What we are watching in real time is the inversion of our founding principles. We're supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people, but this is a government of, by, and for the legacy appointees of people you voted out a decade ago. That's not a republic. That is a judicial aristocracy, and you're expected to fund the pet projects of the aristocracy without complaint. They used to do this in Japan, and there is a rumor with some bits of truth that during the Edo period of the Japanese empire, well, I guess I won't say empire at the time, but the Edo period when the Japanese had daimyo and shogun, that when the emperor or the daimyo or the shogun, whoever was in charge at the time, they had all these wars, whoever's in charge at the time would ask for other samurai or other warlords to come and complete construction, infrastructure projects in their communities for free at their own expense. There is a rumor that the reason why Japanese sit in what's called Seiza position, which I don't think I can do, even if I had my widest shot here. Seiza position, you'd have to watch, you come to karate class tomorrow night, guys. That they would be forced to sit in Seiza position around the emperor or the shogun or the war chief, because if you sit in Seiza long enough, your legs go to sleep. And if you were hearing from the leader that you had to fund an infrastructure project and build it yourself, and you get nothing for it, and you don't even get to enjoy the infrastructure because it's not in your district, you might try and assassinate the daimyo, the shogun, or the emperor. So therefore, they were required to sit in Seiza position anytime that the emperor or daimyo or shogun was nearby, which, you know, but people were a lot tougher back then. Nowadays, they're like, oh, infrastructure? Oh, good. Yeah, you got tariffs? Okay, sure. Why not? Yeah, why not? Raise bigger, more government spending, bigger deficits, whatever you say. You know, taxes on tea, tax everything. Just take everything I have. Just whatever you do, just don't take away my above ground pool. I love my above ground pool. I only owe $116,000. $75,000 of which is interest.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Steelbringer, he wants to unlock the bonus content today, not just the mini documentary. He wants to unlock the Choose Your Own Adventure. Thank you, Joel. That's 31 plus, what is it, 6? So $37 raised towards the bonus content. That's great. We're going to just say a clean $40 raised towards the bonus content goal, and a goal of 75. He's making my job more complicated. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate that. $45 raised. Put 45 in there. Raised towards the bonus content goal of cash 75. And if we hit 100, then it's choose your own adventure time, which choose your own adventure today will be, you get to choose the story that I'll do at the end. And I've got two really good, funny stories, and they're personal stories that are embarrassing to me. So you probably want to unlock that bonus content, but we haven't unlocked it yet. We're close. Very close, but no cigar. $45 raised towards the $75 goal to watch our mini documentary instead of the commercials. And then $100 for the Choose Your Own Adventure. Coming up next, Camellia, then Devin Erickson. It's going to be an awesome second hour. Strap in. We'll be right back.
Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, Because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit forlibertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's forlibertyshop.com. This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here. And it's absolutely unapologetic.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz.
Caught 2. The third? The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the 4 Liberty tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of "Don't Tread on Me" in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama!
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect.
My body's composition is determined by my genes. How Hi. Eyes up here.
Sydney Sweeney has very canes.
My body's composition, parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very canes.
All right, folks, it's official. If you're blonde, busty, and confident in a denim bra, you're now guilty of hate speech. Good morning, pineapples. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. The professional victims on Twitter and TikTok. Actress Sydney Sweeney lit up the internet, not with a speech or a policy, but with her body. No. She was draped in tight American Eagle denim. She looked, well, let's be honest, sexy as hell, right? And that's what really triggered the mob. Not the jeans, not the brand, not the lighting. It's that she looked beautiful, feminine, and completely unbothered by the fact that she wasn't catering to the internet's ugly insecurities. So what did the mob do? They called her a Nazi. Oh, of course. Oh. They said that her ad echoed fascist propaganda. Yeah, sure. Because apparently beauty is actually now a far-right aesthetic. Working out is a far-right thing. Being beautiful is a far-right thing. And then, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is having a meltdown as well. Joining us now to epitome fascism, National Socialism, with her whiteness and her beauty in a lovely lighting arrangement. Did you get is that a ring light you got set up there, Camellia?
It's the same as always. I don't know why it's different.
It looks like gold. Is the sun like coming in and hitting you at just the right angle or something?
No, you know what I just realized is that I clicked the wrong button on one of the lights. I'm like, why is that color? Oh, that's why.
Yeah, it looks like a ray of sunlight has come in and just lit you up. You're dazzling. But I'm afraid that makes you a fascist. Camellia.
Well, my eyes up here, okay?
Your eyes are up here. Okay, well, thank you. Yes. It seems that none of the ladies who are on this show have a camera that is wide enough frame for us to really appreciate it. But Camellia, Sydney Sweeney, she's not bearing all, but she's wearing denim, doing what normal people do. And for some reason, people are having a meltdown about it. I don't remember this kind of stuff happening in the 1980s or the 1990s. People were just like hot in Calvin Klein ads and no one cared.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Like, honestly, though, when you look back to probably especially the 90s, like the hot in the Calvin Klein ad kind of got to be like stick figure, like this, like the iteration of what's hot, as you go along. Like, it got a little like emaciated at a certain point. It's
always been, oh, get over it. It's always been just be thin and pretty and smile, baby.
Everybody's going to go be
baby. Smile more, baby.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how we got to the point where we're equating this with Nazis, unless you're talking about that you don't get much to eat under communism. I don't know. It just so maybe that's why she's, thinner than these ladies who are, I'm not going to call them ladies. They're not ladies who are talking about her. I just have to say, so there's this New York Post article that you sent me about Sydney Sweeney. Mm-hmm. And I do always appreciate the Post usage of adjectives and their writing style. And there is one quote in here that just made me laugh out loud because they do like to use strong verbs too. And so said another TikToker made a video bemoaning the ad saying, if you haven't seen or comprehended how bad it is, I need you to open your effing eyeballs and listen. This is Nazi, pure Nazi, she brayed. I was like,
she brayed. Oh, the New York Post has always been my favorite.
I died when I read that.
Oh, God. I imagine the true glory of living in New York City and being a daily New York Post reader, how wonderful it was. I think somebody I was asking me the other day, like, how long do you live in New York for like 7 years? And getting to read the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal on the way to work, knowing that I was working in the same building, it was an absolute honor. And I just, whenever there would be a new headline that would come out every day, I would just be like, damn, they're like 3 floors below me as all the fun and carnage is happening. And I'm having to be like wearing a tie and straight-laced and produce the TV show. Not that it wasn't fun, but and the judge will be back tomorrow, by the way, everybody, for those who missed him last couple of weeks. He does like summers in the old country, you know what I'm saying? Camellia, we're in the new country here, the fresh world of the United States, where we can't enjoy big, beautiful, big-chested, blonde women here in America anymore. Part of this has to be the whole anti-colonizer thing, right? Because of the rhetoric that's veiled towards genes. So are we going to have this discussion now about like having good genes and how that's fascist, apparently, eugenics?
So here's the thing, though. The irony in this is I would think that, I mean, this is kind of the argument that the people who are criticizing Sydney Sweeney use, is that she's like, they say they can't help how they look because it's in their, it's in their genes. I mean, it's genetics, right? They're not responsible for that at all. So yeah, no, the commercial is a clever play on words. I thought it was good. I also think that when you talk about culturally, I think that this is like the last gasping and grasping at, you know, trying to hold on to some kind of relevance by these people who have had such a hold, you know, with woke culture on the American society in the last decade or so. And so they're losing that. It's slipping through their fingers. And so they're just trying to do anything they can to claw it back. But I think this has been the free market at work. We've been talking about this when we talk about DEI and all of these other things. And we talk about, you know, when Bud Light basically, you know, sunk themselves with their stupidity. Like there was a very real consumer backlash against these things. And I do think that companies have been seeing this, and this has been, you know, people making their preferences known, and producers of our goods and services responding. And so they're not going to like this, right?
No, they're not going to like this. I found an old Brooke Shields commercial from the 1980s, I think it was, where it shows her in a similar situation. Now, hers was a little bit more, I won't say explicit in terms of like, you know, her flailing around her youthful body, which I'm not going to show right now just because she was actually not over 18. But she talked specifically about genetics and evolution and the role of genes in natural selection in mating. And this is a conversation that, strangely enough, I feel like the United States, we're still not able to have really good, frank, honest, open discussions, at least not that much, about evolution and psychology, because, oh God, I was with somebody the other day and they were just like, I don't believe in evolution. And I was like, well, there goes a conversation about evolutionary psychology. So there goes, you know, they were like, I don't believe what the Coke exhibit at the Natural History Museum, Washington, D.C. I'm like, damn it. I was like, I was really hoping to have a nice conversation with you about the shrew-like creature that they have there that's the common ancestor of man. But in modern terms, it's political because everything is tied to eugenics is tied to Hitler. But why don't they talk about the eugenics that's tied to Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood? Have you ever read some of the things that like these leftist, progressive, abortionist eugenicists believe? Maybe some of these progressives would be shocked if they actually read some of the words of their own founding mothers and fathers. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Like, I don't think that ignorant of that. I think that they have just found a way to justify it. And so, I mean, it is kind of like, I don't know, you know, they say, oh, you can't respect the founding fathers, blah, 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 because they owned the slaves. But then they're going to turn around and the founders of, you know, their murderous movement, you know, is specifically, it's genocidal, right? It's racist. And so it's okay to ignore that, though, right? So there is, I mean, hypocrisy abounds, of course, but I think that these kind of things are a promising sign of what's to come. The one thing, because, I mean, you know, did you see I haven't seen the entire thing, but did you see the hubbub about the Nike commercial that just came out?
No,
I mean,
what was it?
So they're very, like, family-oriented, shows a guy, I think he's probably on the golf course or something like that. And it's something about, you know, that he's focusing on what's important. And there's this baby in front of him, next to him. He's like, he has his child there. So there are a lot of these, you know, companies that are going more toward these commercials that are much more traditional and are talking about more conservative ideas. And so, and we've seen the same thing in the Bud Light commercials now. The Bud Light commercials have gotten a lot more macho. So I do think that we are seeing a swing back in that direction and in response to what people want. I think that that's been made clear. I will say the one thing that I hope we don't do is I do think that in the 80s and maybe the 90s, like, you know, we kind of tend to swing from one extreme to the other, right? I mean, so there are a lot of things that were shown on TV in the 80s that we would not dream of showing on TV without any kind of filter or warning or anything else today, right? And I'm not sure that was, you know, I don't know that was, we talk about the good old days in the 80s or whatever. I'm not sure that that's necessarily a good thing. I don't know that I want my children exposed to all of those things that I could have been exposed to in the 80s if I'd had a TV.
I was thinking about that this morning, Camellia, because I was reading a piece over on Reason about the welcome to the age-gated internet. And I had to ask myself, you know, did I really benefit from being able to go to Something Awful forums or rotten.com and being able to see, you know, the Daniel Pearl beheading video from the, you know, or the early 2000s and Al-Qaeda, you know, did I really get a benefit out of seeing people brutally massacred and mutilated and murdered in being able to access things like that? Definitely would have been right around the time I was like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, right around that time period. So I don't know, age-gated things, stopping young people from being able to access like hardcore pornography, probably a good thing, right? Having it, you know, in some sense. But I know some of the libertarians, especially like the pro-porn libertarians, are the ones who are really interested in like the sex trade stuff. They're going to be screaming and screeching about it. But how do you feel about it, Camellia, as a mother, an age-gated internet to an extent?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, when you talk about age gating on the internet, as far as what you can do for that, it gets very tricky, right? Because you start intruding on people's rights of all kinds, and you put their data at risk whenever you start requiring, you know, age verification. But it's fraught with pitfalls.
You have to give your ID to the adult film company.
Yeah, so there are all kinds of problems with actual age gating on the internet. Now, whether or not children should be just allowed free access, of course not. I mean, I think the unfortunate thing is that we see in the last, 20 years is there's so many kids who have gotten exposed to things much earlier in life than they would have. And that is absolutely formative, as far as, their progression, their development as a child. And so that is, every child is different, that's why it's so important for parents to be so involved. And that's, a huge part of our problem is that we just don't have involved and invested parents who are, who are age gating the internet for their children, because there are more apps that you can shake a stick at that will allow you to monitor and to control what your kids have access to on their phone. Now, is that going to control everything out anytime they're out with anyone? Of course not. I mean, that's where the balance of parenting comes in. And well, you teach your children, right and wrong and to use their best judgment. And that's all you can do. And sometimes stuff happens anyway. That is what it is. But I think there's, I think people are more aware of that, but we have lots of parents, don't get me wrong, who do take the right steps. But it's just the internet age and putting, electronics in front of a kid just makes it much more easy and convenient. And it's a lot of work. Like, you have to do your research, and it's a lot of work to constantly, keep an eye on all those kind of things. Because if you think about it, in comparison to, 20 years ago, parents were just worried about where their kids were physically going, not where they were going in their own house, right? I mean, so it is requiring more of parents, and parents are having to adapt to that. And that's just what we have to do.
Camellia, this is the kind of conversation I'm about to bring up, because we're talking about genetics and eugenics. And I want to ask you about this is a question that will get you fired if you answer it. The concept of race and IQ. People like Jeremy Kauffman, they are absolutely convinced that race and IQ are intertwined. And the truth is, I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to play a clip for you. This is of an older black woman whose husband was killed by an MRI. I want you to listen to this, or audience listen to this. Then we're going to have a little, this is about a minute and a half, so 90 seconds. Get ready. Take a listen.
Adrienne Jones McAllister says her husband, Keith McAllister, died after he was sucked into an MRI machine at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury.
I haven't been able to sleep.
I'm barely eating. I just can't believe. I still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. He waved goodbye to me, and then his whole body went limp.
Adrienne said after she'd had an MRI on her knee Wednesday, she needed help getting up. She said she asked the technician to get her husband.
And I yelled out Keith's name, Keith, come help me up, come help me up.
She said the technician went to get her husband and brought him into the room, despite the fact that Keith was wearing a 20-pound chain around his neck with a large lock that he used for weight training.
They were standing there laughing and joking before he even came to the table.
When Keith got closer to Adrienne to help her up, she said the unthinkable happened.
At that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI.
Adrienne says she and the tech tried to pry Keith off the machine, but it was impossible.
I was like, could you turn up the machine, call 911, do something, turn this damn thing off?
Adrienne said that...
All right, obviously a tragedy, but the man was wearing a 25-pound chain in an MRI. Everybody involved in this story is black. Camellia, what do you think? Are you ready to get fired today and answering that question?
Well, what I think is
IQ?
there are some details there that I had not heard before. I didn't know that the technician had brought the husband in to help her out of the MRI machine, which is just appalling, because that is sheer incompetence on the tech's part, because you are never, ever supposed to do that. You don't bring anybody else in the room. And how do you not see a 20-pound chain hanging on someone and still think, oh, it's okay for them to come in and help somebody up? I mean, I can understand, just like normal people not knowing, how an MRI machine works. I don't know, they do, other than that, they do tell you that you have to take all this stuff off, but if you don't know the mechanics of an MRI machine, I guess, and they can't just shut those things off right away.
Magnet is never off. Amy J.E. is in the chat.
Yeah.
Magnet is never off. Whoopsie.
No, it is a magnet. It's a huge, well, sure, but the machine itself, it's a huge process to even shut it down, and you can't just flip the switch. So anyway, that was appalling. And I also was like, why in the world is anyone wearing a 20-pound chain on their neck?
There are signs
I just
everywhere.
don't understand.
There are signs everywhere warning you about metal and the magnet.
Yeah.
Are we Nick Fuentes if we wonder if it's true that perhaps the average IQ of Somalians is like lower than 80 or something like that? Or do we have to become canceled like Jeremy Kaufman if we have conversations like these? Are we not allowed to discuss these things, Camellia?
So I think from an academic point of view that, we should be looking at genetic differences and people who are from different parts of the world, different ethnicities, because there are physically differences. There are, physical differences between ethnicities of people who are more susceptible to certain types of disease or illnesses and people who are not, or have greater physical immunity to those things. And I don't know that anyone can explain. Right. Like, I don't know anybody can explain why that is or how things developed that way, but it is a reality. And it's kind of like this concept of where, we were going to start, we weren't going to start. They did start putting people's, sexual preference, their gender preference on their birth certificate or their identification or anything else. And even when they were doing psychological studies, they were not using their actual gender. And you cannot, that completely messes up what we know about people, because there are decided gender differences. And when you decide to ignore the reality, the science that is there, then you set us up for failure and for greater tragedy too. Now, when it comes to IQ, I don't think that, what can you do with that? I mean, there are lots of benefits to knowing, genetic differences between people. But I don't know, with IQ, I don't know that you could do anything with that. I think that the only function that knowing someone's IQ is whether or not they are qualified for, certain jobs or whatever. And you don't have to look at somebody to assume their IQ. You can just test them for it.
I'm pretty sure you can look at some people and be like, that person's got an extra chromosome.
mean, from time to time, that's fair.
Somebody walks up to you like this. Some screws might be missing. Last question for you here. Jamie Lee Curtis says Botox is genocide. Oh, what the hell? Camellia, is she serious? You serious, Clark?
So, yeah, I think she is, but I actually think she's not crazy either. I mean, this article that they were interviewing and talking to her about, I mean, she was talking about how that she's kind of working her way out of her acting career because she watched her parents just decline publicly. And she does not, she doesn't want to go down that same road. And so she has been preparing herself to, age out, gracefully. But when she's talking about that, she's also talking about the expectations of, women and actresses coming up today where we've lost touch with reality to a certain extent because the norm has become the filtered versions of people, right? I mean, so she said, if you take someone's picture, even when they've had some work done, like if you take someone's picture and then you put a filter on it, hold it up side by side, people are gonna be like, oh, like the filtered version looks better, right? I mean, you brush out all the flaws. And so I understand what she's saying in that, we've seen plenty of examples of, we're putting things that are literally toxic to our bodies in order to make ourselves look better and have fewer wrinkles. And I don't know that we know the long-term effects of that yet. And, how long has Botox been around? It's been around quite a while, but has it been around, 40 years or more yet? I don't know. But so I do think she does have, I actually kind of am with her a little bit on this. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do think it is a bad thing when the pressure is so much that people, end up disfiguring themselves if you don't have a really good cosmetic surgeon.
Okay, Camellia, you made your point. Camellia, anything else that you'd like to share with our audience before we let you go today?
I don't have a single thing in mind.
we've got to get the friends of the show on the whole plug your shit train.
Oh, I always forget about that. Yes, I'm sorry. I am really bad about that, right? Okay, so I don't have a whole lot to plug other than you can follow me over at Rare Camellia on Twitter because that's my favorite platform. Like, I am on Facebook, and most of my Facebook stuff is public, but because I hate Facebook, whatever.
You know what? I'm learning to love the Facebook, Camellia. When you see my AI course come out soon, I'm going to give you a free access to my AI course.
I need it.
You're going to love it because it's going to turn your social media into the best in Missouri. You'll be number one in Missouri because even though you'll be doing everything that I'm already doing, you're a girl, so it will matter more.
Oh, well, okay.
That is literally genocide. Bye, Camellia. We'll see you later.
Have a great day, everyone.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever. Oh my God, please. I'll take a fucking construction worker catcall at this point. Please.
No, sorry, ladies. Even if you're looking very good and very nice, we must avoid. We must work out. Let's focus on ourselves, right, kings? We the kings of not gooning ever, masters of our domain. We shall never flirt with a woman, never touch a woman. As Nick Fuentes famously said, having sex with a woman is gay. We're going to talk to Devin Erickson about all of that nonsense in less than 5 minutes. But since you've unlocked the bonus content, you get to watch the mini documentary instead of the commercials. Very nice. And since you've unlocked phase 2 of the bonus content, guys, what does that mean? That means that you get to have the choose your own adventure at the end of the show. So stick around after Devin Erickson. You donated $100 or made purchases at For Liberty Shop that met or surpassed that goal. So guess what, guys? We're having a choose your own adventure after Devin Erickson. We're going to end the show with your audience choice of which story that it is that you want to go. So it's the choose your own adventure. Here are the two choices, and you get to make your decisions while we go to the bonus content. Choose your own adventure. You get to hear either the embarrassing, for me, funny story with racial connotations. Embarrassing, funny story with racial connotations. That's option 1. Choose your own adventure. Or an embarrassing but not funny story where I almost got stabbed. Embarrassing, funny story with racial connotations. Embarrassing, not funny story where I almost got stabbed. So type either racial in the chat for 1 or stabbed for 2. Remember, the stab story is not funny. The first one is funny. So mark your ballots. They're not secret. They're in the chat with the words racial story or stabbed story. I know stab sounds interesting, but racial, very funny. Okay, it's a classic Peterson story. Everybody knows it, but you haven't heard it yet. We'll talk about that perhaps when we get back after Devin Erickson on the Wake Up America show. Get in your votes. We'll be right back. Get weird.
Get ready, patriots. The fight for freedom just scored a massive win in California, proving that our Second Amendment rights are not up for debate. This isn't just a win for Californians, it's a victory for every gun owner across the nation. For years, Californians faced an outrageous assault on their Second Amendment rights. Proposition 63 and Senate Bill 1235 turned simple ammo purchases into a bureaucratic nightmare. Every single bullet required a background check, creating endless hurdles. Imagine paying fees for every purchase, up to $19 for some. This wasn't about safety. It was about control and making it impossible for law-abiding citizens to exercise their rights. Out-of-state ammo purchases were even outlawed, trapping gun owners in a system designed to fail. The system was a disaster. Background checks took days, sometimes weeks, leaving law-abiding citizens in limbo. Many reported issues with outdated records, making simple purchases impossible. This wasn't about stopping criminals, it was about harassing honest Americans. The numbers speak for themselves. Out of over 100,000 people stopped from buying ammo, only a tiny fraction were actually prohibited persons. This law was a colossal failure, designed to disarm, not to protect. But patriots don't surrender. Olympic shooting champion Kim Rode, alongside the California Rifle and Pistol Association, immediately challenged this unconstitutional overreach. They knew this fight was crucial for freedom. Their initial victory was quickly stayed, but the legal battle raged on. Then came the landmark Bruen decision from the Supreme Court, reaffirming that the Second Amendment protects individual conduct. This ruling set the stage for a monumental win. Bruen made it clear, if a firearm regulation isn't consistent with our nation's historical tradition, it's unconstitutional. This powerful precedent gave new life to the fight against California's oppressive ammo laws. The momentum was building. And then the hammer dropped. A panel of 3 judges for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals delivered a stunning victory in Rode vs. Bonta. They found California's restrictive ammunition laws to be a clear violation of the Second Amendment. Judge Sandra S. Ikuda, writing for the majority, declared that the right to keep and bear arms necessarily includes the right to have ammunition. Without ammo, firearms are useless. This is a fundamental truth that anti-gun politicians constantly ignore. The court ruled that laws meaningfully constrain the right to keep and bear arms are presumptively unconstitutional. California's fees, delays, and bureaucratic mess clearly fit this description. This decision is a resounding affirmation of our rights. Of course, anti-freedom politicians like Governor Gavin Newsom are crying foul, claiming Californians voted for it. But here's the truth. Constitutional protections exist precisely to shield individual rights from the tyranny of the majority. Our rights are not subject to a popularity contest. This ruling is a massive step forward, but the battle isn't over. California may appeal, but the courts are increasingly moving in a pro-Second Amendment direction. We must remain vigilant and ready to defend our freedoms. This victory proves that when we stand together, we can push back against government overreach and reclaim our rights. Celebrate this win, but don't get complacent. Now is the time to act. Share this incredible news with every gun owner you know. Support organizations like the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Second Amendment Foundation, who are on the front lines of these legal battles. Join the fight, educate your community, and let's ensure that freedom rings loud and clear across every state.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America Show. I'm Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. Hope you guys enjoyed that bonus content. Today we're experimenting with our bonus content, and you have unlocked both phases of the bonus content. You just watched, for the first time anyone has ever seen, our little mini documentary about the good news, celebrating Californians actually being able to purchase ammunition without having to go through a background check every time they buy a 9mm. Now you've unlocked phase 2 of the bonus content, which is something brand new we're trying today, which is the Choose Your Own Adventure. So stick around after our next interview and you get to see the outcome of what you have chosen, the audience weighing in to decide what the final story of the day will be, which is an embarrassing story about a time that I was almost stabbed. So I guess you guys really wanted to see that or hear that. It's not funny. Maybe it's just for you, it wasn't for me. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Before we dive into the collapse of modern courtship, let's take a second to shout out our upcoming guest and his excellent book. Have you been starving for real hard science fiction, the kind that respects your intelligence and grips you like The Expanse and gives you that Project Hail Mary sense of wonder? Do not sleep on my next guest, Devin Erickson's Theft of Fire, Orbital Space #1. Write that down. Get out your memo pad. It's a breath of fresh air in a genre that's gone soft, smart, fast-paced, zero woke nonsense. And spoiler, it's about to hit audiobook next month, just not on Audible. So head to DevinErickson.com, and he's like me. He's an SEN. DevinErickson.com to pre-order and support indie sci-fi that actually delivers. Also, great news, his wife Sarah is doing well with no evidence of disease and finishing treatment this October. Big cheers for that. Now, let's get him in here. Let's talk about why the mating game is broken and why men aren't cowards. They're done rowing upstream. Joining us now, live on the show, is our guest. Good morning, Devin. Nice to see you, sir.
And thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Grateful to have you here, Devin. So the clip that I played a little bit earlier with the lovely redhead with glorious breasticles glistening in the sun was talking about how upset she was that men weren't approaching her in public. And mind you, she's in New York City where everybody's trying to get some. And she was desperate for what I think you probably remember, maybe 10, 15 years ago, catcalling. During the Me Too period, we were all warned about catcalling. She's desperate for a catcall. Now, one man posted that video and said that this has given a lot of men who are cowards the excuse that they have always needed not to approach women, and then they can blame it on women. But you kind of like slapped him down and said that it's something else. I mean, you were really, really harsh about it. So explain to our audience why you think it's not just that men are cowards.
Well, it's so many people just refuse to think about human beings in terms of animal behavior, in terms of evolution. So they come up with these sort of ridiculous ideas about how human beings are supposed to work. You know, oh, you're too afraid to approach. Well, if something is part of the natural life cycle of an animal, the animal isn't going to be afraid to do it. You know, cats are not afraid to chase the little feather toy on the end of a string. It's natural behavior for them. So if you're saying, oh, human mating requires great courage, then it just kind of makes me scratch my head, because how did we get previous generations? And how did the guys who were afraid to approach ever have offspring? So obviously, something is being missed here. And I think that we've moved very far away from the circumstances of our evolution. And most of the problems we experience in response to the modern world are we've created an environment that we weren't evolved for. So if you look at mating rituals, they're very seriously broken. And this is how you get what you call a fertility crisis. You know, women are having less children throughout their lifetimes. We're at a rate of population replacement that is below what we would need to maintain our current levels of population. And this can't be tied down to any one sort of social phenomenon because it's present throughout the developed world. And
it's global.
Yeah. It's global. It's everywhere but the third world, basically, everywhere where we have a modern economy. And so it's pretty obvious that this is tied to a modern economy. Well, one of the things I did was I pointed out that, hey, human mating relationships are initiated by the female. The way this naturally works is that women covertly signal availability. And then men come and overtly approach. And once you get this sort of breakdown in the sex roles, the parts of the mating dance that are culturally passed on, once we get culturally programmed against those, people don't know what to do. And this impacts the fertility crisis, because what happens is that I did a deep dive into some of the data on this, and it seems that once people get married in the modern era, they're having children at the same rate that they did before we had a fertility crisis. The impact is entirely that they're taking longer and longer to pair off and get married. And part of this, not all of it, part of it is economic, but part of it is that with the diminution of the difference between male and female roles, a lot of the mating rituals that people use to find mates have been disrupted.
This is all good stuff, and we're talking about a global phenomenon here. So, and you say that there are multiple reasons. This isn't like a singular answer for why we're having the birth rate fall.
Well, they all stem from a single reason.
Okay, but I had a particularly angry lady in my comments yesterday when I posted the statistics showing the global fertility crisis, and I had pulled the chart from Elon Musk and then went and verified it, and it's true. But one of the things that I pointed out was the availability of the birth control pill, which was quite offensive to the ladies in the comments, but particularly one female economist friend of mine. She was pointing at what she believes to be the problem, which is that women are being educated more and therefore they have more choice like they don't have in the third world, and therefore fertility rates are falling because women have more freedom. How would you respond to that?
Well, I think that she needs to go back and read Simone de Beauvoir, who gave the whole game away in the 70s. One of the archpriests of feminism went full mask off and said this. She said, "Women should not be allowed to be housewives and mothers, because if they are, too many of them will make that choice." And this was, this was before feminism was mainstream. So they kind of went full mask off with some of their opinions there. And so what's happening is not that women have choice. What's happening is that women have been propagandized. They are being influenced. We have reached this point where women are taught throughout their childhoods and early adulthood that every part of women's natural role is demeaning and beneath them and shameful, and that men are somehow having all the fun, tarring roofs or working in a cubicle, and that what women really need to do is go and get a career. Well, women are pretty vulnerable to the influence of a crowd. A popular consensus or the illusion of a popular consensus manufactured with social media. So several generations ago, a woman, a teenager, 16-year-old girl, is going to have this idea about her life, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a couple of children and other things will happen, but that's what I'm going to do. And then when I was young, women had this idea, well, I'm going to get married and have children, and I'm also going to have a job somewhere in there. And now women have this idea, okay, well, I'm going to go have a career, and then maybe someday I'll have some kids. So this idea that this is happening because women are free. Now, women have always been free. They've just been influenced to make different choices now than they have back then.
Now, Devin, I don't want to let the men entirely off the hook because there has to be some accountability and responsibility for what men allow. Because much of the behavior that goes on is because men allow it. As a matter of fact, I had an authoritarian libertarian debate, and the authoritarian's argument was against libertarianism was simply that, you know, that no one really has rights because rights are only what can be protected through force, and therefore rights are the only rights that are allowed are the ones that powerful men who decide what rights are allowed are the only rights that people can actually enjoy. Now, that's one way of looking at this one, but then I don't want to let men off the hook too much, Devin, in the sense of the simp factor and of these weak males, because I can say, and I know that this is facile to like the underlying, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? Not the iceberg itself. But I do think that there is an element of males that you might call them soy boys or what have you. These are heterosexual males that are not following they're not the cat chasing the toy. They're not doing the behaviors that they should be doing. They're glued to their screen and video games and pornography and marijuana. And as a libertarian, those things should absolutely be legal for adults 18 and age and over consenting. But at the end of the day, I've had so many guy friends, Devin. I can't tell you how many I've lost. And the guy friends that I have lost universally were the men that had no game. And did blame women and say, oh, well, now I don't approach women because now you hashtag me too, et cetera. And they're all girl bosses and they're annoying and they're covered in tattoos like this chick from this original video. And they are weaklings, Devin. They are men who unceasingly blame women for the problems of their own creation. They ain't got the balls to stand up to a woman like that and stare right in her chest and look right in her face and say, hey, baby, where are you going? What are you doing tonight? Like, that is a phenomenon. It is a real thing, Devin. How do you answer that?
Well, I think that you will never solve this problem if you think of it as weakness. It is not weakness, it is ignorance. These men think that what is attractive is compliance to what women say they want. So when women say, you know, don't approach me in the park, don't approach me in the dark, don't approach me here or there, don't approach me anywhere, they believe that they are being told the straight dope. You know, men are also seeing the massive propaganda, the illusion of consensus that is talking women out of women's roles. So these guys, the reason that they are mad at women is they go and they go to women, they listen to what the women say, and they comply. And that compliance is not sexy. And they are essentially angry at women for being as women are, not as they imagine women are supposed to be. They act the role of the good progressive male, and then they get resentful that this doesn't get them sex, like it was this transactional thing. And then they wander around resentful at women, and eventually they become these sort of sleazy left-wing male rapist types, where they will sort of sleaze up to women in their social circle and get them alone and try to strong arm them.
They call them sneaky fuckers.
Yeah. They were taught wrong
I'm a
on
feminist.
purpose. They were taught wrong on purpose. And now they're resentful that what they were told to do doesn't work. And what actually does work, they refuse to do because they've been told that it's bad. So we have a system of media that has been for a long time proselytizing against not only natural male and female behavior, but against a public awareness of natural male and female behavior. So you have to understand these guys as being deluded and misled rather than weak. They're not afraid to do what they know they should do. They don't know what to do, and when they become aware of it, they're afraid to do it, not because it's hard, but they've been told that it's evil. What they're afraid of is disapprobation and shame and punishment and the guilt they will feel for being masculine. They're not afraid just of rejection. They're afraid of being shunned by their entire social group. Yeah, this fear is very real.
You wrote on July 26th that evolutionary psychology is usually more of an intellectual tool than a robust field of study. It's useful, but it contains a dangerous trap. Devin, my previous guest and I were talking a little bit about evolutionary psychology in the context of understanding human behavior, and specifically people who were accusing Sydney Sweeney of being a Nazi because her initials are SS, and
because she's white.
And she's white, and
because
she's beautiful.
She's white. That's all it is. They hate white people.
Right. So what's the evolutionary psychology there? Is that just simply they're trying to, destroy that which is beautiful, that which is out competing them genetically, or?
Well, wokeness is essentially communism, and communism is based on envy. Someone solved communism on social media a few years ago when he said that communism is when ugly mutant freaks make it illegal to be beautiful and successful. Harass everyone. It's just an attempt to flip the table by people who have a poor hand of cards.
Yeah, they are over in the chat. Our friend L-Dub says they are trying to queer what is normal. Yeah, because it's something that appeals to their true enemy, though. Men like yourself and myself, Devin, the quintessential white male with agency.
Yeah, well, there was a sea change in Marxism, sort of starting in the mid to late 20th century. And the way Marxism was during the Russian Revolution is, okay, this economic experiment hasn't been tried yet. And, we want to empower the workers of the world and put them in charge of the government and centrally manage everything for their benefit. And you could get the working class to buy into this in 1912 because a lot of this economic experiment hadn't been run yet. So, communism was always a phenomenon of academia, but they could recruit the working class to be their soldiers at this time because people really didn't know that communism doesn't work. But as it emerged that communism doesn't work, the working class started to say, oh, okay, well, what we actually want is capitalism with trade unions. Because that's what actually gets us paid, and that's what actually makes our money able to buy anything. So communism started to lose support among the people it claimed were the point all along, the working class. But of course, the real constituency is academia, and the real point is power. So they needed new foot soldiers. And the new foot soldiers they selected were misfits. were the people who just don't fit in society, who just can't find anything useful to do with themselves, who have a host of mental illnesses.
No, I'm sorry, Devin, that's the libertarians. I'm sorry. That's the communist meeting is next door.
Why not both?
He says as a proud libertarian, but not card carrying. Devin, this is your fascinating insights, and you don't get these kinds of discussions anywhere else. I highly recommend that people follow you over on X. It's at Devin_Erickson. Tell us about your triumph, your book, Theft of Fire, coming out on audiobook, but there's a caveat.
Well, not on Audible, because Audible has a business model that involves not paying authors. Seriously, I ran the numbers. I would be paid about between 40 and 27 cents per sale.
Oh, God. Geez, you're better off going to Amazon.com and putting it out there yourself. Devin, it's a fantastic thing to have more science fiction authors out there who are writing books that have an impact, because some of my biggest, the biggest contributions to my overall philosophy came from author Robert Heinlein. I think science fiction with Star Trek and even Star Wars to some extent is a great way to reach into people's psyches and bring up conversations about republics and empires, and to have conversations about duty and responsibility in a way that sort of disarms people from your typical Cato Institute white paper in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's cultural and political conversations are won by people who capture the imagination, not people who massage statistics into the shape that they want. And the way I put it is that science fiction is really kind of a technology for talking about tech before it happens. It's a way that we can anticipate the future and decide how we feel about it before the things that are going to be invented actually come along. And that's pretty important, because if you think about the whole 20th century, if you think about everything that was invented in the 20th century, name 5 things that didn't happen first in science fiction.
Great point. I mean,
it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, trying to think.
It's tricky.
Rockets and things like that. But they were invented.
And the way that I sort of put the importance of this is, I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk didn't grow up reading Little House on the Prairie.
If he'd done that, he would have ended up here in Missouri with me, with my little farmhouse, my little redheaded baby girl. Devin, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience before we let you go today, sir?
The sequel to Theft of Fire is coming out soon, and the audiobook is coming out even sooner. So if you like some good science fiction that is not woke and gives you that feeling that you had reading science fiction in the 80s, check that out.
Devin, I think you're a brilliant guy. I love following you on X. I think people need to get a copy of your book. I see several people in the Rumble chat this morning said that they already did. They loved your book. So congratulations on that. It's a hell of a triumph to be able to create works of art like that in the modern era when everybody's scrolling through TikTok and only have 7-second attention spans. We wish you and your family the best, and we hope you'll come back and join us again real soon. Thank you for being so generous with your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. That's Devin Erickson. Make sure you give him a follow and grab a copy of his book, Theft of Fire. Keep an eye out for the audiobook, just not on Audible. Okay, there we go. That was a great show today, guys. Oh, you want your choose your own adventure? Yes? Well, you paid for it. You broke it. You bought it. At $75 raised, we always unlock the bonus content. It's our mini documentary. I was wondering if maybe you guys weren't thinking, maybe it's time that we reinvent ourselves a little bit. But then I thought to myself, what's a great way to continue to keep the audience interested, excited, titillated? How about a little choose your own adventure? Maybe gamify the stream a little bit more. Well, here's the game. The game is when you hit us over $75, when you hit the $100 bonus content mark, that means that you get to choose your own adventure, choose the next story, the way that the flow of the show goes. And here's how the show ends today, with a story about me almost getting stabbed. And this is a true story, a terrifying story, and a story that I have never told publicly to anyone. I always said if I wrote a book, like an autobiography, this would have to be in it. I'd just been waiting for long enough after the event had occurred to mention it. Past the statute of limitations, maybe? I don't know. But when I ran for president back in 2016, at the time I was, kind of bouncing around residences in Kansas City, just trying to determine where I really wanted to land because I wasn't sure where I kind of wanted to be full time. Well, when I announced my campaign for president in 2016, I moved into this kind of McMansion over in the Overland Park area, and this became our campaign headquarters. We slept there, we worked there, we had a team of people, a small crew of people, all working full-time on the presidential campaign. Well, one of our campaign staffers had terrible night terrors and also a problem with intoxicating substances. And this person slept in the basement at night, and I would sleep on the second floor, right? Then we'd get up at the butt crack of dawn, 4 a.m., and I'd have to prepare a speech for that day or get ready to fly to Colorado or do whatever I was going to do for the campaign. Well, one night in a fit of intoxication and night terrors, which is it can be a potentially lethal combination. I hear screaming, like horror movie female screaming coming from the basement. And I think somebody's being murdered or suicided or Jeffrey Epstein, all of the above. So I go downstairs thinking, oh my God, there's a case, I'm thinking there's this melee. There's only one person down there. And this is like a 92 pound soaking wet woman. And she is having a night terror. And I don't, to this day, I don't know what the dream was. All I know is that she rounded on me with a knife in her hand and a crazy look in her eyes and a slurring to the speech. And I just said to myself, I screamed at her, trying to wake her up, thinking, oh my God, you need to wake up. Like, this is not a dream. This is real life. And thankfully, she kind of she didn't drop the knife, but she held on to it, and I'm like backing up, and she kind of like, and I'm just kind of like, holy shit, right? Because I'm like, well, please don't let something like this happen, get out and be a scandal, right? They write about the news, and then, you won't get to take second place and be in the debate with John McAfee and Gary Johnson in like 2 weeks or whenever it happened. I thought I was going to get stabbed. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. And that's the bonus content. You chose it. It was your own adventure. Thank you so much for supporting the Wake Up America show, guys. We will continue to play Choose Your Own Adventure at my expense in future shows. Tomorrow's Wednesday. That means Judge Andrew Napolitano will be joining us on the show. Don't miss a single episode. Make sure you click the like button and, of course, click follow if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show. We'll see you right back again here tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Time, here on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Where do we exit? Through the Grift Shop. See you guys tomorrow.
Get ready, patriots. The fight for freedom just scored a massive win in California, proving that our Second Amendment rights are not up for debate. This isn't just a win for Californians, it's a victory for every gun owner across the nation. For years, Californians faced an outrageous assault on their Second Amendment rights. Proposition 63 and Senate Bill 1235 turned simple ammo purchases into a bureaucratic nightmare. Every single bullet required a background check, creating endless hurdles. Imagine paying fees for every purchase, up to $19 for some. This wasn't about safety. It was about control and making it impossible for law-abiding citizens to exercise their rights. Out-of-state ammo purchases were even outlawed, trapping gun owners in a system designed to fail. The system was a disaster. Background checks took days, sometimes weeks, leaving law-abiding citizens in limbo. Many reported issues with outdated records, making simple purchases impossible. This wasn't about stopping criminals, it was about harassing honest Americans. The numbers speak for themselves. Out of over 100,000 people stopped from buying ammo, only a tiny fraction were actually prohibited persons. This law was a colossal failure, designed to disarm, not to protect. But patriots don't surrender. Olympic shooting champion Kim Rode, alongside the California Rifle and Pistol Association, immediately challenged this unconstitutional overreach. They knew this fight was crucial for freedom. Their initial victory was quickly stayed, but the legal battle raged on. Then came the landmark Bruen decision from the Supreme Court, reaffirming that the Second Amendment protects individual conduct. This ruling set the stage for a monumental win. Bruen made it clear, If a firearm regulation isn't consistent with our nation's historical tradition, it's unconstitutional. This powerful precedent gave new life to the fight against California's oppressive ammo laws. The momentum was building. And then the hammer dropped. A panel of 3 judges for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals delivered a stunning victory in Roe vs. Bonta. They found California's restrictive ammunition laws to be a clear violation of the Second Amendment. Judge Sandra S. Ikuda, writing for the majority, declared that the right to keep and bear arms necessarily includes the right to have ammunition. Without ammo, firearms are useless. This is a fundamental truth that anti-gun politicians constantly ignore. The court ruled that laws meaningfully constrain the right to keep and bear arms are presumptively unconstitutional. California's fees, delays, and bureaucratic mess clearly fit this description. This decision is a resounding affirmation of our rights. Of course, anti-freedom politicians like Governor Gavin Newsom are crying foul, claiming Californians voted for it. But here's the truth. Constitutional protections exist precisely to shield individual rights from the tyranny of the majority. Our rights are not subject to a popularity contest. This ruling is a massive step forward, but the battle isn't over. California may appeal, but the courts are increasingly moving in a pro-Second Amendment direction. We must remain vigilant and ready to defend our freedoms. This victory proves that when we stand together, we can push back against government overreach and reclaim our rights. Celebrate this win, but don't get complacent. Now is the time to act. Share this incredible news with every gun owner you know. Support organizations like the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Second Amendment Foundation, who are on the front lines of these legal battles. Join the fight, educate your community, and let's ensure that freedom rings loud and clear across every state.